meeting to order. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Welcome everyone to the first meeting of 2023. We do have the agenda before us. It is going to be quite lengthy, but the beginning of the year always has these standard things that we have to do for routine business. So just bear with us. We'll try to get through these as quick as we can, but as transparent as we need to be. Do we have any additions, corrections, or deletions from the agenda? Hearing none, agenda will stand as printed. First item of business, this is all going to be standard beginning of the year type things that we have to do. And we will be electing a chairman.
Also moved to nominate John Sabo, Chairman of the Board of Trustees.
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded. Discussion? Roll call.
Mrs. Harless,
Yes.
Mr. Sabo,
Yes.
Mr. Hawes,
Yes.
And I will move to elect Brooke Harless, Vice Chairman.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Discussion? Roll call.
Mrs. Harless.
Yes.
Mr. Sabo.
Yes.
Mr. Hawes.
Yes.
Okay. This will take just a little bit as we scroll through these.
I'll move on or beginning of new resolution.
Three. Yeah,
Number three.
yeah, number three.
Yeah, number three. Robert's Rules of Order.
Second. It's been moved and seconded. Discussion? Roll call.
Mrs. Harless.
Yes.
Mr. Sabo.
Yes.
Mr. Hawes.
Yes.
I will move on beginning of the year resolution number 4, dealing with Board of Trustees meetings.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Discussion? Roll call.
Mrs. Harless.
Yes.
Mr. Sabo.
Yes.
Mr. Hawes.
Yes.
Number 5, retaining employees. I will move on beginning of the year resolution number 5.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Discussion? Roll call.
Mrs. Harless.
Yes.
Mr. Sabo.
Yes.
Mr. Hawes.
Yes. I will move on beginning of new resolution number 6, the rules and policies.
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded. Discussion? Roll call.
Mrs. Harless.
Yes.
Mr. Sabo.
Yes.
Mr. Hawes.
Yes. I'll move on beginning of year resolution 7, holidays observed.
Second. It's been moved and seconded. Discussion? Roll call.
Mrs. Harless.
Yes.
Mr. Sabo.
Yes.
Mr. Hawes.
Yes.
I will move on beginning of the year resolution number 8, mutual aid.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Discussion? Roll call.
Mrs. Harless.
Yes.
Mr. Sabo.
Yes.
Mr. Hawes.
Yes. I'll move on beginning of year resolution 9, coordination of fire and law enforcement agencies.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Discussion? Roll call.
Mrs. Harless.
Yes.
Mr. Sabo.
Yes.
Mr. Hawes.
Yes. And I'll move on beginning of year resolution number 10, appointing John Sabo as chairman and Brooke Harless and Scott Hawes as board members for the Clinton Township Volunteer Firefighters Dependent Fund Board.
Second, Chuck, just discussion, for the sake of discussion, we still have to do this, correct?
That's what they're saying.
That's what I thought.
Just because of past volunteers.
Yes.
Potentially could have something.
Yes,
Yeah,
correct,
claim,
yes,
from
yeah.
20 years ago. I guess, or
Absolutely.
something, or whatever.
Yeah, I was
So
pretty
that-
sure there was a formal reason why we still have to continue to do this. The good news, or hopefully the good news is, we never have to use it.
Correct, correct. So I am going to do a little more research on that
Yeah.
too.
But it is a formality that we do have to do. Thanks. Roll call.
Mrs. Harless.
Yes.
Mr. Sabo.
Yes.
Mr. Hawes.
I will happily move on beginning of year resolution number 11 to appoint our township administrator as the official designee for public records training.
Thank you. That makes me very happy.
Thank God she doesn't have a vote in this.
Second, it's been moved and seconded, discussion.
Yes, I look forward to taking the public records training for probably the 17th time.
We
Thank
look
you.
forward to you doing that. Anything else? Roll call.
Mrs. Harless?
Yes.
Mr. Sabo?
Yes.
Mr. Hawes?
Yes. I'll move on, beginning of year resolution number 12, and appoint myself still as a representative, SCOG, as well as Brooke as the alternate representative. That's what we've,
Yeah, that's,
yeah.
kind of followed that. Second, it's been moved and seconded, discussion. Roll call.
Mrs. Harless?
Yes.
Mr. Sabo?
Yes.
Mr. Hawes?
Yes.
I will move on resolution number 13, requesting advance taxes.
Second.
Been moved and seconded, discussion. Roll call.
Mrs. Harless?
Yes.
Mr. Sabo?
Yes.
Mr. Hawes?
Yes. I'll move on, beginning of year resolution number 14, Stark Hazardous Response.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded, discussion. Roll call.
Mrs. Harless?
Yes.
Mr. Sabo?
Yes.
Mr. Hawes?
Yes.
Chief, will you send that resolution to them?
I will move on, beginning of the year resolution number 15, waiving of zoning fees for governmental agencies.
Second.
Been moved and seconded, discussion.
We did add nonprofits because they're typically waived. It
Oh,
just
yeah,
was
that's
never
perfect.
in the
Yes,
resolution. But it
yes.
was
No,
added
that,
this year.
that was a good catch, because we haven't done that.
Mhm.
Boy Scout troops,
Yep.
you know, those types of things. Yeah, good catch. Anything else? Roll call.
Mrs. Harless?
Yes.
Mr. Sabo?
Yes.
Mr. Hawes?
Yes. I'll move on, beginning of year resolution 16, gov deals and wanted assets.
Second's been moved and seconded, discussion. Roll call.
Mrs. Harless?
Yes.
Mr. Sabo?
Yes.
Mr. Hawes?
Yes.
I will move on, beginning of the year resolution number 17, the Computech agreement.
Second.
Been moved and seconded, discussion.
Yes, it does include tier 2 support, but anytime we have tier 1, we send an email. We're getting less and less and less of them, so I think it's fair to do it that way because the cost is low,
Perfect.
instead of adding tier 1.
Anything else? Roll call.
Mrs. Harless?
Yes.
Mr. Sabo?
Yes.
Mr. Hawes?
Yes. I'll move on, beginning of year resolution 18, transfer of funds between meetings.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded, discussion. Roll call.
Mrs. Harless?
Yes.
Mr. Sabo?
Yes.
Mr. Hawes?
Yes.
I will move on, beginning of the year resolution number 19, the sale of scrap metal.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded, discussion. Roll call.
Mrs. Harless?
Yes.
Mr. Sabo?
Yes.
Mr. Hawes?
Yes. I will enthusiastically move on, beginning of year resolution number 20, designating Lisa Campbell as prevailing wage coordinator for Lake Township.
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded, discussion.
Many thanks.
Roll call.
Two chairs, right here.
Mrs. Harless?
Yes.
Mr. Sabo?
Yes.
Mr. Hawes?
Yes. She's definitely with her pen.
I will move on, beginning of the year resolution number 21, insurance benefits.
Second.
Been moved and seconded, discussion. Roll call.
Mrs. Harless?
Yes.
Mr. Sabo?
Yes.
Mr. Hawes?
Yes. I will move on, beginning of year resolution 22 to, and this has to do with appointing a representation on the Tax Incentive Review Council. Would appoint myself and Brooke Carlos.
Second. It's been moved and seconded, discussion. Roll call.
Mrs. Harless?
Yes.
Mr. Sabo?
Yes.
Mr. Hawes?
Yes.
And let me see.
I'll move on, beginning of year resolution 23, annual Stark County Regional Planning dues.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded, discussion. Roll call.
Mr. Sabo?
Yes.
Mrs. Harless?
Yes.
Mr. Hawes?
Yes.
Okay, thanks for your patience. That takes us to the sheriff's report. Yeah, no, we did, actually, we did. It helped to know the names.
Good evening, you have the December 2022 monthly report before you. very slight uptick in calls compared to last year, 931. 79 crashes, and probably part of that increase for last year's the average. First time we really had some snow, people had to drive it, so uptick in crashes. 8 injury crashes, 81 alarms, 162 traffic stops, 106 citations, 45 arrests for the month, with 353 vacation and security checks. For the detective report, 11 cases were assigned, and closed cases, three thefts, 1 telephone harassment, and 1 arson case. We're able to work in conjunction with the fire department on that. The monthly charts. Any questions? Thank you.
That arson case got a lot of notoriety, didn't it?
Yeah, incidentally, that suspect's also been charged in a fatal fire in the city.
Oh, my.
You're kidding.
Yeah.
Wow. Goodness.
So it was actually very good that the sheriff acted quickly that night, because that helped their case in Canton too, so. I mean, Carver, he jumped right on it, and he got a guy in there to help me with the detective, and.
Nice.
I think the other detective might have been off that night, so we had a fill-in guy and whatever, but yeah, it was nice that they were able to. We're a little new at that, we got some new people over there, so that helped us
Yeah.
get through that, so.
Good collaborative. Wow. Okay, thanks, Captain. That takes us on village business none, new business none. We go to the fiscal officer's report. Mr. Wolf.
Thank you. Fiscal Officer number 1 is a resolution to authorize the payment of pending warrants in the amount of $147,278.36.
Second.
Then moved and seconded. Discussion. Roll call.
Mr. Hawes?
Yes.
Mrs. Harless?
Yes.
Mr. Sabo?
Yes.
Fiscal Officer number 2 is a resolution to authorize payment of regular payroll in an amount not to exceed $250,000.
So moved.
Second. It's been moved and seconded. Discussion. Roll call.
Mr. Hawes?
Yes.
Mrs. Harless?
Yes.
Mr. Sabo?
Yes.
Fiscal Officer number 3 is a resolution to authorize payment for the following medical claims.
So second. It's been moved and seconded. Discussion. Roll call.
Mr. Hawes?
Yes.
Mrs. Harless?
Yes.
Mr. Sabo?
Yes.
Fiscal Officer number 4 is the financial report.
A lot of stuff on UAN, isn't there? Get through all of that. Get to investments. Any questions, see Tom? Next.
Fiscal Officer number 5 is the investment report. Our total interest for the year was $181,509.42.
I know you've been here a while, but
Yeah.
thanks, because honestly, the prior occupant in the office, I think in your first year, you eclipsed what they had in the cumulative 4 years, so at least the
Yeah.
money's working. The money's working for us, even with semi-paltry
Yeah.
interest
Yeah,
rates.
it's the interest rates that are, it's not the, aggression of going after it.
Yeah.
Any questions, see Tom? Next, Tom?
Fiscal Officer number 6 is a resolution to enter into the agreement with USI Consulting Group to complete the actuarial valuation pursuant to Ohio Revised Code 9.833 and authorize payment from Fund 1,110,360 not to exceed the amount of $2,500.
So moved.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Discussion. Roll call.
Mr. Hawes?
Yes.
Mrs. Harless?
Yes.
Mr. Sabo?
Yes.
Fiscal Officer number 7 is a resolution to authorize the following transfers.
So moved.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Discussion. Roll call.
Mr. Hawes?
Yes.
Mrs. Harless?
Yes.
Mr. Sabo?
Yes.
Fiscal Officer number 8 is a resolution to hire Eslick Wrecking Company to demolish the house located at 3034 Taft Avenue Northeast, Plain Township, Stark County, parcel number 52-10922, in the amount not to exceed $10,300 from Fund 1,110,500, and the Township Fiscal Officer shall certify the cost of such remedies to the county auditor and have them applied to the tax duplicate of the above stated property.
So moved.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Discussion? Roll call.
Mr. Hawes?
Yes.
Mrs. Harless?
Yes.
Mr. Sabo?
Yes.
That concludes the fiscal officer report.
We got through that pretty good. That takes us to the administrator.
Pressure's on.
All right.
Item number 1 is a resolution for the 2023 safety conference, according to our travel policy.
So moved.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Discussion?
The near hotels are booked up, that doesn't stop anybody from driving down for the day and attending, and we can look outside if somebody wants to try to stay to, as far as you're comfortable, I guess, going out, just let my office know. Item number 2 is a resolution, oh,
Let's
sorry.
vote on that.
Okay.
So, roll call.
Mr. Hawes?
Yes.
Mr. Sabo?
Yes.
Mrs. Harless?
Yes.
Now you can go.
Thank you. Resolution number 2 is to adopt the updated Stark County multi-jurisdictional hazard mitigation plan.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Discussion? Roll call.
Mr. Hawes?
Yes.
Mrs. Harless?
Yes.
Mr. Sabo?
Yes.
Thank you. Next, I have a resolution to pay Stark Soil and Water District for our MS4 contract for the NPDES program.
So moved.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Discussion? Roll call.
Mrs. Harless?
Yes.
Mr. Sabo?
Yes.
Mr. Hawes?
Yes.
Thank you. Item number 4 is a resolution to amend Resolution 22-490 for the amphitheater project.
So moved.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Discussion?
Yes, it just carves out the 2 different funds to be paid from.
Okay. Roll call.
Mr. Hawes?
Yes.
Mrs. Harless?
Yes.
Mr. Sabo?
Yes.
Thank you. Item number 5 is a resolution to amend Resolution 21-585 for Vigilante Solutions.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Discussion? This has just the
The
UAN.
UAN codes,
issue.
yeah.
Now, will we have a few more of these?
We
that
could,
we'll
like
be
this one,
finding?
we never
Yeah, that's what I'm
thought
saying.
of,
We're probably
so there may
gonna,
be some other ones as they
some
come
remote
through.
ones out there that we may have to
Yeah.
go back and do simply because of the switch over into our accounting
Yeah.
program. Very good. Roll
And that's
call.
Mr. Hawes?
Yes.
Mr. Sabo?
Yes.
Mrs. Harless?
Yes.
And that's the end of the
Now you
administrative
can get
report.
excited. Thanks, Lisa. That takes us to Fire Department Chief Schallenberger.
Thank you. Item number 1 is our monthly report.
Thanks for taking the lead like you did on the wreaths across America over there.
Yeah, I saw the pictures. That looked pretty neat. Looked like it was a good turnout.
Was actually compared to the,
Yeah.
because the 2 prior years, just, I'm not gonna lie, it was somewhat embarrassing. So between Rotary, Fire, Daughters of the American Revolution, they pulled together. Because last year, if I would have told, well, 21, so technically 2 years ago now, if you would have had been able to place maybe 2 wreaths on, and we were talking small group, there wasn't enough to go round 1, and for the folks that did show, if you placed 1, that was probably all you got to do, so there was a lot better.
Good. Next.
Item number 2 is a resolution by Plain Township Board of Trustees, authorize purchase and payment for gasoline, oil, and diesel fuel from McIntosh Oil.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Discussion? Roll call.
Mr. Hawes?
Yes.
Mrs. Harless?
Yes.
Mr. Sabo?
Yes.
Item number 3 is a resolution by Plain Township Board of Trustees to authorize purchase and payment for installation of equipment supplied by Plain Township Fire Department to install the above-ground storage tanks at Station 2.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Discussion?
Those tanks come in pretty quick.
Yeah, they did. They look good there too.
Yeah, they actually came in like 6 weeks ahead.
Yeah, that's crazy for, what else is going on out there, but that's to our benefit, because we can get that project done and out of the way. Good, roll call.
Mr. Hawes?
Yes.
Mrs. Harless?
Yes.
Mr. Sabo?
Yes. Thanks, Chuck. That takes us to road.
Thank you, Mr.
JP.
Chairman. First item under road is the monthly report. Gotta give a shout out there to the service department and our guys. 571 completed work orders this month, so. got through it though.
Next.
All right, road item number 2 is a resolution to purchase diesel fuel not to exceed $5,728.
So moved.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Discussion. Roll call.
Mr. Hawes?
Yes.
Mrs. Harless?
Yes.
Mr. Sabo?
Yes.
Thank you. Road item number 3 is a resolution to authorize purchase and payment to McIntosh Oil for gasoline, oil, and diesel not to exceed $25,000.
So moved.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Discussion. Roll call.
Mr. Hawes?
Yes.
Mrs. Harless?
Yes.
Mr. Sabo?
Yes.
Thank you. Road item number 4 is a resolution to authorize purchase and payment to K-Tech Specialty for BD liquid de-icer.
So moved.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Discussion.
This is new stuff that we're trying that we talked about, right?
Yeah, this is the super severe, it's 10 cent difference in gallon, so we're gonna try this out. This is what North Canton's using, so we seem to have pretty good luck with
It
it.
makes it look like heated streets.
Yeah, no, he did,
Crazy, crazy.
yeah.
Anything else? Roll call.
Mr. Hawes?
Yes.
Mrs. Harless?
Yes.
Mr. Sabo?
Yes.
Thank you. Road item number 5 is to accept the attached resolution from the Stark County Commissioners and engineers setting the 2023 weight limits.
So moved.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Discussion. Roll call.
Mr. Hawes?
Yes.
Mrs. Harless?
Yes.
Mr. Sabo?
Yes.
Thank you. Road item number 6 is to authorize purchase and payment to Alliance Motors for the replacement parts for truck number 4.
So moved.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Discussion. Roll call.
Mr. Hawes?
Yes.
Mrs. Harless?
Yes.
Mr. Sabo?
Yes.
Road item number 7 is a resolution to promote William Kopp from Operator Labor 3 to Project Inspector effective January 8th.
So moved.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Discussion.
You sure you really want this?
Yeah.
Positive.
Just kidding.
Yeah.
Congrats.
Yeah, congrats.
Well, not
Almost.
officially yet.
You
Yeah,
didn't
Roll,
vote.
roll,
That's right.
post roll
Yeah,
call.
yeah. Anything else? Roll call.
Mr. Hawes?
Yes.
Mrs. Harless?
Yes.
Mr. Sabo?
Yes.
Congratulations.
Now it can be.
Congratulations.
Good job. Looking forward to working with you.
Absolutely.
Number 8.
Road number 8 is a resolution to hire Christopher Woods as a full-time non-union road laborer in the road department effective January 8th.
So moved.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Discussion.
Essentially, this is a role that Evan Bland had previously had with the board. He implemented that.
Yes, we did.
A year and a half.
Yep.
Yeah, almost 2 years ago.
Okay.
Yeah.
Joe's doing.
Yeah, yeah, it's kind of like a stepping stone to get them working in the right direction, so we're excited to get Chris there in our department, and I know Rob hates to lose him, but we're looking forward to it.
He's earned it, he's a great kid.
Yeah, he is.
He deserved it.
I thought you were gonna arm wrestle.
Yeah.
Listen, at the end of the day, I have nothing but positive things to say about him. It's something Chris wanted, and I certainly wouldn't stand in the way of Chris growing. That's where he wants to go. And
Good kid.
Yeah,
I think he'll fit in very well and do very well for JP Drew and Milton. So,
Perfect. Anything else? Roll call.
Mr. Hawes?
Yes.
Mrs. Harless?
Yes.
Mr. Sabo?
Yes.
Thank you, and last, road item number 9 is just a resolution to adopt the following revised job description.
So moved.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Discussion.
Just kind of cleaned up the language there a little
Perfect.
bit.
Roll call.
Mr. Hawes?
Yes.
Mrs. Harless?
Yes.
Mr. Sabo?
Yes.
And that concludes road.
Thanks, JP. That takes us to zoning, Mr. Ferrara.
Thank you, sir. Item number 1 is the monthly report.
Hopefully that's not wishful thinking. Hopefully that's just so we can see it in a
That's
picture.
somewhere else.
Yeah.
That's as close as it.
All right. Thanks, Tom.
That's all for zoning, sir.
That takes us to parks, Mr. Steinberg.
thanks, and number 1's the monthly report.
There's a little cutie on that one there.
Takes after her dad.
Yeah, right.
That was a fun event. It was fun watching those kids come into that room, because they all peeked around the door.
Aw.
Because they knew Santa was there somewhere, and you could just have that, and they stuck their head in and kind of scanned the room to make sure it was funny watching.
I got one more picture with a little girl that day, but I didn't get Dak's permission to post, but it was a good one.
Yeah. All right, next.
Item number 2 is a resolution for professional consulting and engineering announcement for the Diamond Barn. DD, correct.
Let me see. I would make a motion for resolution parks number 2.
Second?
It's been moved and seconded, discussion.
I'm just gonna point out, we left the work session, and we talked about architect for interior stuff, but I walked out, and if we gotta pull the recording, my expectation was we would have called a couple commercial roofers already to get insight into that, because we've discussed that's a slate roof on slats. Any commercial roofer that's licensed, insured, and bonded would provide the proper guidance. There are steel overlays that are done regularly on that, or even slate removed, slats replaced, new metal roof. The architecture and engineering stuff, absolutely, for designing plumbing and electrical and insulating. The reality is this barn doesn't have what we would view as traditional rafters. It's beamed construction with the slats. So we're not gonna be coming through and putting new trusses in between there's just no functional way to do it. So I would still like to see commercial roofers reached out to ahead of time. An architect engineer would absolutely have something to say about the rest of the design. The design, you know, the only thing we would have potentially, need to go out for bid on the roof is due to potentially the price, again, due to the surface area and what we're dealing with, but I'd still like to see the roofers call. I can provide a list of those, just even based from referrals that I found.
I think we can do both. I think.
I just don't want to see us spending money.
Well,
having
and actually,
architect.
that was my reason for wanting to get the architect, was just to make sure, because we haven't really decided yet what even style of roof that's gonna go on there. So maybe the actual roofers themselves could just take a look and say, hey, steel is gonna do this.
Because I'll tell you, one of the links has there's some goofy stuff out there.
Oh, absolutely.
And the last thing I want is one of these architects, like, it would have been right after you left, and Don, I think, picked up the ball maybe on some of the fire station designs. I mean, growing crap on top of roofs to say, hey, we're
That was
super green crap. I mean, there's some stuff that's out there, so.
Oh, yeah, no, that was all green.
So-
Yeah, oh, yeah. Yeah, you go up there and water the grass.
And crops.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
My only thing with this whole thing is, we just need a starting point. And my fear was, whatever we decide for the roof, I just wanna make sure that whatever the investment that we are making, that roof is going to meet the function of the engineering stability in addition to what we might wanna do as we go into another phase. Because we are never gonna be able to afford to do that whole barn all at once. And I think we would all agree that roof and getting at least it closed up some way has to be the priority.
I agree with
So-
architect designing from windows and doors, because we're gonna need lighting for event space. The roof options on it are gonna be limited unless we were to say, oh, we want cupolas atop of it, and other crazy construction, then that may, but I also don't think we wanna be deviating significantly from its
Historic value.
unless you hit
Yeah.
aged, because it's not a historic, there's not a historic preservation
No.
under true classification, but
So, we already kinda met with one or two people.
We went with Frio Construction about the roof, we went with Hurdle Wall Painting about the outside, we went
Those were
with
the dated ones that, because
United well, he's asking me, I'm just going to the,
Yeah.
yeah. And United Restoration of some of the inside and some of the masonry.
I'm just talking about roof, cause that's kinda what we're focusing on right now. So
Frio
Trail was
Construction.
the one that was up on North.
It was right by Mount Pleasant, North Cleveland
They're
Avenue.
the ones that are closed, they're closed.
Oh, the business club?
And I'm pretty sure. So, did you talk to Pavlos?
I did call John Pavlis just to kind of pick his brain. He's offered to, and I didn't talk to Rob or anybody else, to actually kind of do a walkthrough. I did say, what's your take, architect, or, how would you bid this out? Because eventually we have to write specs and bid it. And he's never been in the barn. I can't talk trusses and sheeting and
Yeah.
beams, but he doesn't know what's in there. He said, there might be work that needs done before you get to the roof, because you want to put on a roof and then go, oh, darn it. And he thought that was a different company that would do that kind of work than the roofing company. So he said, you may want to work with a architect/engineer. They all have engineers at their firms, to work through that. I can't write.
Well,
roofing bid
I don't,
specs.
I don't think there's, we don't wanna do that part of it. If it's just simply a matter of, I wanna walk the legal line, what informalities that we might do at the beginning, Mary, put us in any liability for collusion? In other words, if we had a roofer go up and look at this and say, well, I would do this, and this, and it went out for bid, based on the fact that the architect drew up all the specs, would we still be okay?
Well, that person couldn't bid on it. If they're helping, you're saying if they look at it.
Yeah.
If they just base it off what that person
Yeah.
said, you can't
Oh,
bid
yeah,
on it.
yeah.
but-
No, I'm just,
But
they're gonna
if
go,
you-
they're gonna look at it, and he's gonna say, if it was me, here are your options.
But if we
If
don't
the
think the
architect
architects
has
slash engineers
specs-
don't already.
Then it goes into the bid package,
Yeah.
then anybody can bid on it, based on the specs that he provides.
Even though we've talked to him prior to.
Yeah,
and
that
said,
doesn't
hey,
bother.
look at this.
Yeah, I mean, the
If they
truth
come
of
in
the
low-
matter is,
if they come in
they're,
lowest and
they're
best.
doing that on a volunteer basis, they still have to comply with the specs that the
Absolutely.
architect would come up
Or
with.
probably they would do as part of, whenever a bid goes out, a site visit, they'd have to, just like we had the design for the amphitheater, they have to go on site to look, to
Well, and
visualize.
that would be the other thing. I mean, even if we could get a couple of those people to say, here are the options, and then we sit down with the architect and say, here's what we've been told. What would you think is best to put this into your engineering
I think they'll still
specifications?
bring in an engineer and make up their own decision.
But at least we will have something to be able to say, hey, we know Slate, for example, is probably gonna be too expensive. So,
We don't,
You know,
we don't.
no,
that
that's what I'm saying, but,
Mark my words. when this is
basically,
done,
I mean,
This is not gonna be at.
we just built an amphitheater that we didn't have a clue what we were gonna do. And we said, hey, here's kind of where we wanna go. And he came up with all the other stuff.
That's a completely new structure. We've got an existing structure. There's
Yeah.
roof tear off and replacement day in, day out, whether it's Farmer Joe's or it could be the Diamond Barn down here, because realistically, starting to talk about other sidewalk, that's the ancillary stuff. Again, we could have had insights already on some of this roofing stuff from licensed, bonded, and insured folks that are up on all these current standards, because if you're to go to asphalt, okay, well then, slats, I can tell you for fact from the 4.5 years I was at Powers, they're not gonna support the sheeting which is necessary to put down, to then put asphalt shingles. So that's not gonna support it. However, it's either replacing with slate or it's gonna do an overlay on the slate with steel, which is actually more common because the cost to remove the slate without busting it up drives your cost significantly through the roof and the sides. Actually, that slate will help act as a sound barrier against the steel roof, just because when we're all in the central fire station out in the bays, you know, the echoing that occurs off that steel, even if it's sound dampening steel, so.
So just to understand where you're coming from, you're not opposed, you wanna have a couple roofers come in and look, give us some
Yeah,
ideas, give
we
us
should
some
have had some of
understanding.
that, what I'm saying
And
is,
then we're gonna move then, once we have that, to the architect to start drawing up all the stuff.
I mean, the roof and the exterior, I think, even without common sense is gonna lead it to that, but yeah, we absolutely should have had a conversation with roofers just to take a look, because again, they're certified professionals that do this work. Again, we're not talking new construction, so we don't need to make a mountain out of a molehill here, and that's why I'm, quite frankly, frustrated that the calls weren't made, because if we would pull a recording from the work session, I know we said, yes, there's gonna be an architect as it gets into designing and laying out some of the sides, but the roof is, I would bank money on it. Says, okay, yeah, we'll make some calls. And we don't have that, so.
And we don't, and that was I was under the understanding, I wasn't derelict in my responsibility. I was under the understanding after all the conversation, because obviously we can't make decisions in a work session, that the first step then was the architect.
Rob,
That's why I said.
I guarantee if we have the voice recordings, there was a note, I will make an effort to call some roofers. We don't have any of that, and that's what I have a fundamental issue with. We
Because
spoke
I thought
to
we
both
backed off
parts.
of that.
No, one wasn't contingent on the other. It's moving two pieces forward, so. Let's, for the sake of approving the architect and engineering, let's just to rein this back in.
And that's gonna be my part of the discussion is, I think we need both, myself. I don't think both would hurt. We already know at some point in time, we're gonna have to get engineering / architectural services for some part of this project.
Yeah.
And it may be further down the road, but to at least get us started, you know, we could start that process, but the faster we get roofing people in, to at least, they're gonna come, they're gonna put a set of eyes on it. How long did that guy, the original guy that came, what was it called, Frio? Frio. Does he have an office at Rolling?
No, they went there.
He may now, he was at Mount
No,
Pleasant.
that's Henderson you said.
Oh, okay, Henderson, okay.
Well, because Henderson used to be up off of,
Yeah.
weren't they up on Mount Pleasant?
I mean, how long did he take when he was up there? And he only gave us estimates, right?
30, 40 minutes.
Yeah.
I
Well,
can't.
that's all they
remember.
can give us until a bid goes out
But again,
with bid specs, that's all they can.
all
but,
I'm saying
right.
is, time frame.
Not just on.
If you can meet with 2 other people, meet with 2 other people, and again, if it's only 45 minutes, and they're only gonna give us estimates, because again, off of that then, we'll kind of, at least when we meet with that architect to say, here's what we need, here's what we've been told by roofing people. Now we need your engineering expertise.
Fine.
I'm ready. Anything else? Roll call.
Mr. Hawes?
Yes.
Mrs. Harless?
Yes.
Mr. Sabo?
Yes.
Item number 3 is a resolution to authorize work and payment to Jerry Payne Turf Irrigation for mower renovation and remakes.
So moved.
Second, it's been moved and seconded. Discussion. Roll call.
Mr. Hawes?
Yes.
Mr. Sabo?
Yes.
Mrs. Harless?
Yes.
Item number 4 is a resolution to hire Kyle Jordanides in the Parks Department, full-time pending drug and alcohol.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Discussion.
Mr. Hawes?
Yes.
Mrs. Harless?
Yes.
Mr. Sabo?
Yes. Okay, nothing from the law director, no communications. Is there anybody in the audience that wishes to address the board? Seeing none. Concerns of trustees, none. No fiscal officer. I will then move on to the approval of the minutes of December 27th, which I was not here.
I also would want approval of minutes from December 27th.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Discussion, roll call.
Mr. Hawes?
Yes.
Mrs. Harless? Mr. Sabo?
Abstain.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Wait, do we have a executive session?
Mhm.
Or do I-
Yeah.
my bad.
No, that's
Sorry, I
okay.
got a little.
Yeah, no, I know.
We've made
Before
such
Lisa.
good, we made such
I know.
good time on the
Before
beginning of the
Lisa.
year.
Um, We do have a need for executive session, be it hereby resolved by the Plain Township Board of Trustees, Stark County, Ohio, to adjourn to executive session at 6:41 PM from the regular meeting of January 10th, 2023, as authorized under Ohio Revised Code 121.22G for the purpose of the consideration of 1B, the employment of a public employee or official. It's been moved and seconded. Discussion, roll call.
Mr. Hawes?
Yes.
Mrs. Harless?
Yes.
Mr. Sabo?
Yes.